Welcome to the How to Write a Research Paper series. My name is Danielle Applebaum and I am an academic librarian at Farmingdale State College. Today we're going to look at avoiding plagiarism by correctly citing your sources. By the end of this video, you'll be able to describe and distinguish between intentional and unintentional plagiarism, explain the purpose of in-text and end-of-text citations, and describe the basic differences between MLA and APA citations for books and articles. Let's get started. In the first video in this series, we talked a little bit about the consequences of failing to properly quote or paraphrase outside sources when writing your paper. In this video, we'll take a closer look at this issue and how to avoid it. Plagiarism is the act of taking another's words, research, or ideas and presenting them as your own. It can happen unintentionally or intentionally. Unintentional acts of plagiarism usually occur when a writer includes ideas or excerpts from an outside source, but accidentally omits citation information. Intentional plagiarism can take a number of forms, such as buying a paper off the internet and passing it off as your own. It can also happen when you deliberately copy and paste or rephrase the work of another without providing a citation so that it appears to be your original work. Paraphrasing, which is taking a text and putting it into your own words, is perfectly fine, but you must always remember to indicate to the reader the source from which you've paraphrased the material. Despite the clear differences between unintentional and intentional plagiarism, it's important to understand that the consequences for either are generally the same. For instance, if you get caught plagiarizing, you might fail the assignment, fail the course, or be expelled from your academic institution altogether. If you're not familiar with the academic integrity policy at your high school or college, ask your advisor for more information. While the consequences for plagiarizing can be severe, the good news is that avoiding plagiarism is relatively easy if you cite your sources correctly. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of citations, we need to take a look at the role they play in the scholarly literature. So imagine a ladder. At the top of that ladder is everything we could ever hope to know about a particular topic. Say renewable energy or the cure for cancer. At the bottom, there's us, starting at square one. Every research article and every scholarly book is like a rung in this ladder. And in order to advance knowledge in a particular area, experts have to climb up each of the rungs that came before. I mean, if someone told you they got to the top of a ladder just by jumping up to the top rung, you'd have a hard time believing them, right? Of course, they might be able to skip one or two rungs at a time on their way up, but to skip them all would mean they're either lying about it or they engaged in a less than honest workaround. When you cite other sources, you're not only engaging in the ethical practice of giving credit where credit is due, you're also helping the reader of your paper see how you engaged with the scholarly literature that's laid the foundation for your work. In other words, you're helping the reader to see which of the rungs you've climbed to arrive at the arguments and evidence used in your paper. This is important to other readers because in order to build off of your work and advance knowledge even further, they have to engage with and understand the sources that you used. But first, they have to be able to find them. So providing a correctly formatted citation is like giving your readers an address for where that source lives. Now, there are two types of citations you need to be familiar with: in-text citations and end-of-text citations. An in-text citation is an abbreviated citation that tells your reader where they can find the full citation in your works cited or reference list. There are many types of citation styles, but we're going to take a look at the basic rules for MLA and APA in-text and end-of-text citations for two types of sources that you're most likely to use: articles and books. APA, which stands for the American Psychological Association, is a common citation format for subjects falling within the social sciences. When citing a journal article, you'll use the following format for your end-of-text citation that goes in your reference list. The citation begins with the author's last name, followed by a comma, followed by the author's first initial, which is followed by the year of publication in parentheses, which is followed by a period. This is then followed by the title of the article, followed by a period. This is followed by the title of the journal in which the article was published, followed by a comma, followed by the volume number of the journal, followed by the issue number of the journal in parentheses, followed by a comma, and finally the page range of the article, followed by a period. If available, a DOI, or digital object identifier, can be added to the end of the citation. Note that you do not use title case in the title of the article. This means that except for proper nouns, only the first word in the title and the first word after a colon is capitalized. Also, the title of the journal in which the article appears and the volume number is italicized. So if we take our article and use this template, our resulting citation should look like this. If we utilize the MLA format, which stands for Modern Language Association and is most often used in the humanities, our citation will look a little bit different. Unlike APA, which requires you to know the different templates for each type of source, MLA utilizes the same template for all sources. The template is as follows. The citation begins with the author's last name, followed by a comma, followed by the author's first name, followed by a period. This is followed by the title of the article, followed by a period, all of which are within quotations. This is followed by the title of the container, which in this case is the journal in which the article was published, followed by a comma. This is followed by other contributors, followed by a comma, followed by the version of the item, followed by a comma, followed by the publisher, followed by a comma, followed by the publication date, followed by a comma, and finally followed by the location of the item, which is followed by a period. Then the whole process starts over again if there's a second container. Think of containers like this. If you are citing an article, the article is contained within a journal. If that journal is contained within a database, then the second container is the database. I'll provide a link to a great video that goes more in depth into this concept. Note that if there is a second author, the first author is listed last name, comma, first name, followed by a comma, followed by the word and, followed by the second author's first name and last name, followed by a period. If there are three authors, the first author's name is listed last name, comma, first name, followed by a comma, followed by the phrase et al. Also, the title of containers are italicized. So if we take this article and use this template, our resulting citation should look like this. But what about books? APA has a separate template for books, which looks like this. The citation begins with the author's last name, followed by a comma, followed by the author's first initial or initials, followed by the year of publication in parentheses, followed by the title of the book, which is italicized, followed by a period, followed by the name of the publisher, followed by a period. This is followed by a DOI, or digital object identifier, if available. So if we take this book and use this template, our resulting citation should look like this. Again, MLA looks a little bit different. We've already covered the main template, so here it is again just as a refresher. So if we take this book and we use our template, our resulting citation should look like this. But what about in-text citations? APA and MLA differ slightly in that APA follows an author-year format and MLA follows an author-page format. This is the same no matter what type of source you're looking at. So if we wanted to create an in-text citation for the journal article for which we've already created an end-of-text citation, we could do this in two ways. If we introduce the citation as part of a sentence, we would put only the year in parentheses following the authors. For example, according to Weber, Becker, and Hilmert, 2019, students' use of advanced search strategies is predictive of achievement in college. If we did not introduce the authors as part of the sentence, we would place the citation after the information we've quoted or paraphrased in parentheses, with the author's last names followed by a comma and the year of publication. So our in-text citation would look like this. Some studies have shown that students' use of advanced search strategies is predictive of achievement in college. Weber, Becker, and Hilmert, 2019. Let's consider how in-text citations would look for the same source in MLA. In MLA, if we have three or more authors, we use the last name of the first named author followed by et al. And the page number of the information we are quoting or paraphrasing. So if we introduce the author as part of the sentence, it would look like this. According to Weber et al., Students' use of advanced search strategies is predictive of achievement in college. 673. If we didn't introduce the author as part of the sentence, it would look like this. Some studies have shown that students' use of advanced search strategies is predictive of achievement in college. Weber et al. 673. Now, you're likely to encounter other types of sources or variations that you're not sure how to address in your citation. Here are a few options. First, get a copy of your styles handbook. Everything you need to know about how to cite and format your paper in MLA or APA is in the handbook for each of these style guides, so I suggest visiting your local library to locate and view a copy. Just a heads up though, most libraries classify citation handbooks as reference books, so while you will be able to use them during your visit to the library, you may not be able to check them out for use at home. Second, you'll want to try out these online resources. The Owl at Purdue has a terrific set of guides on APA style, MLA style, and many other styles. Also, I recommend checking out Farmingdale State College's citation videos. My colleague at Greenlee Library has created a fantastic series of videos on the ins and outs of MLA and APA style. I'll provide a link to these resources in the description below. Finally, if you're not sure about how to proceed, get in touch with your high school, college, or public librarian. Librarians are happy to help you with your citation questions.